What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of MUT Tips. I'm your host, Sean Taylor from the Made Up Theater, and before we jump in, make sure to like the video down below, leave a comment, and as always, subscribe on YouTube down below to be informed of upcoming videos and live streams. Ring that bell. Now let's jump into today's topic, the short-form game of New Choice. New Choice is an excellent short-form improv game where a cast of at least 2 people are going to do an improvised scene based on a suggestion from the audience, and at any point in time, a host can shout out New Choice. Whoever just spoke the previous line has to say something different. The host can shout out New Choice as many times as they want, and when they stop calling New Choice, the final choice now becomes a part of the reality, and the scene is continued henceforth, and New Choice can be incorporated into the scene whenever the host feels it is appropriate. There are a few concepts in this game that are being implemented that are very important to comedy. First of all, we are practicing making choices. As with the game of New Choice, there are choices that are going to be used in the game, but not just in the game, also in the scene that you're creating. We're making choices on like who we are, what's our relationship to each other, feeling something towards the other person, because feeling can help initiate choices, as well as like actions that we're doing in the scene or objects that we're using in the environment. All this stuff, all the specific details that we're injecting into the scene create opportunities for New Choice to be called by the host. In addition to making choices, we are also heightening the choices within the game. The host calls New Choice, therefore we should start to heighten the previous choice. So for example, if I come into the scene and I'm like, oh hi teacher, my name's Sean, here's an apple, and the host might call New Choice. Now I said, here's an apple. I'm gonna start to heighten that a bit, right? And the way you can heighten is just be a little bit more specific. So simply put, I could just say, here's a pomegranate. I just heightened a bit, right? I added more syllables. I used a more atypical fruit. It just sounds different than apple, right? But it's still a little bit connected to that source choice. And if they call New Choice again, now I can start to think a little bit more outside the box. Like, here's a half-eaten Snickers bar. New Choice. Here's some TNT. New Choice. Here is the key to my heart. Would you like to open it? So I just start to just get a little bit more and more bigger as the snowball goes down the hill. In addition to that, this game is all about commitment. Anytime New Choice is called, it is a challenge that is being imparted on you to come up with something. Don't worry about it necessarily following the rules of like, oh, it's got to be a heightened choice, or oh, it's got to be a bigger choice. Say something and just commit to it as though it's the appropriate choice, because the host may not settle on it, and the host may challenge you to throw out, I don't know, 10 choices, who knows? There's no rules to how many new choices you can call, but some people, when they play this game, they tap out at like 2 choices, It's like they're almost like thinking of like the rule of 3 in their head. So if they go beyond that, it's like, whoa, I can't think of that many choices, but you can. You're an improviser, so try to make more choices. Go beyond the first 2 or 3. Let's get into some tips for this game. Now, when the command of New Choice is called on you, you might be thinking, which direction do I go? There's so many possibilities I can go in, and ultimately it just comes down to picking one of them. There's a few ways to go about it. Like, for example, you might do opposites. Opposites can be tricky, but it can be really funny, as seen in this clip from Improvaganza.
Don't cry. New Choice, cry!
What's funny about that clip is it's just so quick, they just quickly embrace it. It's just like a 1-2 punch, which elicits the laughter from the audience. The thing about opposites, though, is people might think, well, if I come in as a character who has like a specific want or perspective or point of view, and like the New Choice can kind of skew it by the end, right? And yeah, that can happen, but just know the host command of New Choice doesn't have to change your objective or your feeling. So for example, maybe the scene is set at high school prom, and there's a high school student who wants to ask out one of the wallflowers to dance with them. So that's a great starting off point to a scene, because this high school student has a very clear objective. If anything, also a feeling too. The objective isn't just, I want this person to dance with me. More so, it's, I want this person to like me, And the feeling is positive, like there's a sense of romanticism or just infatuation with this person. So if this character were to walk over to that wallflower and say, hey, you look pretty cool, I want to dance with you. And then the host calls New Choice. You might think, oh, go opposite. Oh, I hate you. And that kind of, again, will kind of get in the way of the scene and block the initial choice of this character's objective. So instead, think of it more so as heightening, the feeling and leading it to an action that complements that. So, if they said, I want to dance with you. New choice. I want to kiss you. New choice. I want to go on a 5th date with you. New choice. I want to sacrifice a lamb in your honor. You know, we're just heightening that initial feeling, that feeling of infatuation, rather than being kind of scatterbrained and going in a bunch of different directions. That's why it's very strong to have a character with a clear want, a clear point of view, and you don't have to necessarily change it throughout the scene. You change the means, the methods that you implement to get what you want or to express how you feel. Another important aspect of this game is pace, because this game can get slowed down sometimes because people are trying to think of the best choice or a funny choice or a clever choice as they're heightening. And here's the thing, there's another way to go about this, and that's just to spit out quick choices as seen in Ryan Stiles playing this game.
My God, there's a huge lineup out there.
New choice.
2 people came.
New choice.
Does anybody know about
New
this?
choice.
My mother.
New choice.
My father.
New choice.
Where's my mother?
New choice.
Where's my father?
New choice.
Look how dark it is.
New choice.
Fog.
New choice.
Oh my God, Bill Bixby.
New choice.
See, the funny thing about that is just Ryan machine gunning choices out of his mouth with no judgment attached to any of them. And that's a great way to practice this game. Rather than, doing 2 or 3 heightened new choices that are more complex and actually snowballing, maybe focus more so on like having the host call new choice on you like 10 times and focus more so on just commitment to 10 simple choices that are still specific and also connected to the scene, but they're not focused more so on like outdoing the previous choice. And also, your new choice doesn't necessarily have to outdo the previous choice with, what you're saying. It could also be how you're saying it. That could be the newness that you're bringing to your choice. So it might be like a change of, tone, character, voice, emotion. Check out this clip of Heather Ann Campbell from Improvaganza and just notice the difference between these 2 choices.
Dad, is it distracting when I talk to you while you're driving your pencil around on a paper?
New choice.
Is it distracting you if I scream while you're drawing on a paper?
New choice.
Dad, is it distracting to you if I'm kind of quiet?
Notice the difference between those 2 choices. The first choice is pretty specific, has a lot of words in it, but the second one, less words, more simplistic, but a very strong character choice. That's why the host is like, hey, let's see where this goes. That is something that you can bring to the table. It's not just about what you're saying, it's about how you're saying it. And one final tip for this game, related to the presentation and just the overall smoothness of this game, is make sure your sentences are short, sweet, and have pauses. Because if you don't have pauses, it's difficult for the host to come in with a new choice. In fact, sometimes the host just has to interrupt you. They're forced to interrupt you because they gotta show the game. That's what the game is. That's what the audience wants to see. And also, if your sentence is just these long, run-on sentences, 15 plus seconds of content, those are hard for a host to want to come in for a new choice. They can, but it's just tricky. So just make your sentences short, sweet, allow equal contribution from everybody on stage, and I think you're gonna have a fun time with the game of new choice. And that concludes this episode of MUT Tips, everybody. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really appreciate it. Again, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another episode of MUT Tips. Bye.